Hello everyone. Today we will see the circuits. So exploring the circuits is important in the field of electrotherapy. We need to know about circuits like the alternating currents, the direct currents, how they are connected with the main supplies and etc. So today the components which we will be looking for is electric circuit, components of electric circuit, what happens in the circuit, conductors and insulators. So when we will see the electric circuit, we need to know what exactly are the components which are compulsorily important when we talk about the electric circuit. So first, the electric circuit. So now here is the first image A, image B and image C. Now these are the three complete circuits which are closed from both the ends. So I just want to know that which of these circuits would work. So the first is having a comb, a battery and a bulb. The second one is having a brush and a bulb. And the third one is having a metal nail and a bulb. So the A and B and C, we will see which one of this will work. So I would say none of this will work. So why? First, the first A image is having a comb and a battery, where the plastic comb is a non-conductor. So anything in the circuit which is not a conductor will not conduct the electricity. So henceforth, the first one will not work. Now, the second one is having a plastic toothbrush. A plastic toothbrush is also a non-conductor. Again, even if the plastic toothbrush will be exchanged with the wooden toothbrush, again it will be a non-conductor. Now one thing is also missing in the second circuit, that is the battery. Battery source is important either in a form of AC currents or DC currents to supply the current. And the third one, now third one is having a metal screw which is a conductor of electricity, but again the power is missing. So if the power source would have been connected to that, maybe the circuit would have been completed. So now we will be able to describe exactly what the exact circuit of electricity is made up of. And at the end of the lecture, you should be able to know at least three components of the circuit. Likewise, just now we had seen that the battery is important and the bulb in which we can see that the current is flowing, that is important. So these are the two components which we had already seen earlier. What are the other components? We will see in the later slides. Next is explaining the circuit happening, that how the electric circuit happens to connect the light circuits and the series circuits. Another is the difference between the conductors and insulators. So now, what is an electric circuit? According to the definition, it is a complete path through which the electric current flows. So the flow of electric current or the electrons in the conducting system is known as electric circuit. It should be constructed of an unbroken loop. So why unbroken loop? Because the leakage of electric current can cause shock, either electric shock, either earth shock, which is harmful for the patients as well as the therapist in our electrotherapy departments. Now coming to the direction of electric current. So the direction of electric current is always unidirectional. So from the negative side, the electrons flow, and from the positive side, the electrons complete the circuit. So it is always in unidirectional. Next is what makes a circuit complete. So the components which makes the circuit complete, it should have a battery, that is the source. So from where we are getting the energy or the electrons is important when we talk about the first component of electric circuit, that is the battery. Another is a light bulb or anything which tells us about the working of the circuit. So the bulb is something that lights on and we are visually able to identify that the circuit is working. The next is conducting wires. So to connect both of this, we require a wire. And why conducting? We cannot use a material which is not conducting electrons. So henceforth, we require conducting wires. So these are the three main components which are required to complete the electric circuit. The symbols are given, so the symbols will never change. So the battery will have a plus and minus sign. Then the conducting wire will be a straight line, and any appliance which we apply can either have a cross circle, or sometimes it is given as a bulb also. The other components, now the other components are good to know components, and sometimes they may be there, sometimes they may not be there. Like we will talk about fuse first. So fuse is something which is the weakest point of the circuit. So once there is a fluctuation in the current or something is not working properly, the first point which breaks in the circuit is the fuse, so that it does not harm the appliance. So some modalities in the electrotherapy lab, or even in the home appliances, in some of the modalities the fuses are there, in some they are not there. Then closed switch and open switch. So the switch is working in a it is closed, that means the current is not flowing through it. And when it is open, that it when it is open to flow the currents, then it is showing that the current is flowing. So to complete the circuit, the switch should be in the connection. Next is the battery. Battery we have already seen. Another is the motor. In the devices which requires a load, where we see that a lot of power or energy is required, like in our electrotherapy department, we will see SWD. So that requires a huge amount of current, which is converted by the sources, so that will have a motor and the resistor. So these are the other components of electric circuit. Now what happens in the circuit? How will it work? So there is a dry cell. A dry cell is like a carrier of electrons. So those carrier of electrons are pushed to flow that electron in the conducting wires. So once we on the electricity, or once the cell is connected to the wires, the electrons which are stored in that cell are forced to move into the wires. Once the electrons are present in the wires, they have to flow, because they cannot stay in a same place, because that has a very uh, less surface area. The cell is bigger than the conducting wires. So the conducting wire in the conducting wires, the electrons has to move. So while moving, they, as I have already said, it is a unidirectional flow, so they will not move backward towards the cell. So they have to move towards the source, that is the bulb. And when these electrons pass through a load or a receiver, then they will change in the form of light energy, heat energy, sound energy. So in the form of light energy, we will say that electric current is converted into light energy when we will say that the bulb is getting lighten up. Then into the heat energy when we talk about the solar systems. Then into the sound energy when we talk about the speakers which we have in our uh, in the televisions and etc. So the electric current coming from anything which is connected to the electric current or the electric supply at home, or in any modality, or even we talk about the chargers or anything, they are converting some kind of electricity into another kind of electricity, but everything is being conducted by the electrons. Now, next we will talk about completing the circuit. So, completing the circuit is very important, because unless and until the circuit is complete, there is no use of that circuit. So, any breakage in the circuit will not light up the bulb which we are talking about, or it will not complete the circuit. So, the appliance will not work. So, completion of the circuit is very important. Now we will see the conductors and insulators. So in the first slide, we have seen that in the A image, we had a comb and a battery connected to the bulb. But a comb was a non-conductor, or we would say it was an insulator. So insulators are materials which resist the flow of currents. So, or electrons. So if it is resisting the flow of electrons, it will not let the electrons reach to a particular place where it is required to bulb to lighten up the bulb. So henceforth we require the conductors, which are good conductors, so that the electrons or the charges flow from that material very freely. So once it is flowing very freely, it is called as a good conductors. So the wires which we are talking about is having a material that is copper. So copper is a good conductor. Then we can talk about silver spoons. Then we can talk about metals. So metals are good conductors. Insulators are comb is an insulator, wood is an insulator, rubber is an insulator. So all these are the insulators. So now even when we talk about the conductors are covered by an insulators. So that only the inside material is conducting the uh, charges, not the outer part. So when we touch the wire which is there, we don't get shock or unless and until it is broken, because it is made up of rubber. So that is an insulator, but the wires inside it are of copper. So that is a conductor. Now the different types of circuit. So there are two major types of circuit. One is electric circuit of light and one is electric circuit of power. So why is it important to know the light circuits and power circuits? We need to know this because the power circuits are circuits where a huge amount of electricity is required. And light circuit is where smaller amount of electricity can lighten up the appliances. So when we talk about modalities or home appliances like fridge, then air conditioners. These are power circuits. So the power circuits are connected in a different way and the light circuits are connected in a different way. So here I have put an image of only light circuit and not power circuit, because power circuit, you have to tell me what power circuit will have, but we will discuss it. So first we'll see the light circuit. So the light circuit, we can see that the bulbs are in the series connected one to one. So the light circuits can be connected in series, whereas the another one left is the parallel one. So power circuits are connected in parallel so that if one breaks, the others will not have any effect on. So there can be a thing that due to the huge amount of electricity which is used, one can have a break in the circuit or the path where the current is flowing. So to avoid the dysfunctioning of the other systems, we will have the circuit to work properly for the another appliances, and only it will break for the one appliance. So that is why it is in the parallel form. Now when we talk about the series form, if one goes off, the others automatically goes off, because they are connected to a single supply. So what can electric circuits do? So electric circuits play a very crucial role in the daily lives as well as in the electrical, when we talk about the modalities also. So in the modalities, we convert the currents, like all the currents which are coming into the direct currents, alternating currents, for the therapeutic purposes. At home, we use it for producing light, producing sound, then the refrigerator for cooling systems and everything. In trains also the electricity is used. So all these are connected to the electric circuits. So we will have a quick review. So what is an electric circuit? So electric circuit is a complete path through which the electric current flows in a unidirectional way. Next is, some of its components includes wire, bulb, and a power source. Power source can be a cell or a battery. And a complete circuit features an unbroken loop where charges can flow in the conductors. So that's all for today. Thank you.